What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Hold Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Duran. I got both of my co-hosts on the line with me tonight. Got my man, Jay Baba, in the building. What's good, man?
Not much, man. Look forward to another great episode. Trying to shake this old 5-game skid in fantasy football. Hey, I get the dub this weekend. Hey, I'm sitting right there in the playoffs. But want to quickly remind you, you can catch us on YouTube as well as follow us on TikTok at Hold Husband Podcast. And for those interested in promos or shout outs, shoot us a DM on IG at Hold Husband Podcast, as well as emails at holdhusbandpodcast@gmail.com. All right, T.
I also got my man SD in the building. What's good, bro?
Nothing, man. When you're in first place, you ain't got to worry about none of that. You just show up and play the game, man. So, hey, listen, I want to give a shout out to Brother Soul Production for always keeping the background audio fresh. And I want to remind you all to donate to the Hold a Husband podcast on Cash App and PayPal. All right, T.
I want to remind everybody that y'all can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on the core94.com. Tonight's episode is titled No Time to Waste. And we're going to be talking about some dating strategies or some do's and don'ts for younger women to try to help them reach their relationship goals. But y'all know how we do around here, man. We like to discuss stuff that we've seen on our timeline or things that are trending. And I came across this video of Keke Palmer where she's talking about how her parents' relationship kind of shaped her perspective of relationships and how she defined disrespect. Let's take a listen.
So misogyny came at me hard and quick with the quickness. I grew up in a house where my mom would say this is what needs to be, and Larry be like, okay, Sharon, go ahead, Sharon. Yeah, but you know what I mean? So for me, when I entered outside of my household, right, and I saw that everybody doesn't really respect their wives or even women in the way that my dad respects my mom, right. It's a pretty rude awakening.
Now, anytime a woman has unrealistic expectations, when she's confronted with reality, it's going to be a reality check, or it's going to be a crazy situation, because what she described is not respect. That is obedience. That is a beta, a weak man that is just being obedient to his wife or trying to avoid confrontation. And that's not a man that is either respected by men or by women. Women are not attracted to men that behave in that way. But it's interesting for her that she formulated that if a man is not behaving like that, then he's not respecting his woman. And it's that type of problematic thinking that is going to make it hard for her to date a man in real life.
Yeah, we see it playing out in her own personal life, because she believes the nonsense of happy wife, happy life. Forget the man. The man is supposed to do whatever you say, and what you say goes, especially when she makes the type of money that she makes. We saw that play out when she went to a concert with her booty cheeks out. Then was like, hey, I don't care what I do and this and that, talking about the man and I make the money or whatever the case. Like that's the type of disrespect,
blatant disrespect
that women have for men that act like her dad. That's not respect. That's just a rug that y'all step on. That ain't a man that women even respect. They just tolerate men like that because they can get their way. That's all they do. So when you talk about disrespect, you can't come on a podcast talking about disrespect from your dad or not seeing it or being out in a relationship and getting disrespect when you disrespected your man publicly more than one time. So I don't want to hear nothing about what you experienced out here because the dude wants you to cover up or something like that. He wants you to cover up and not show your clappers to everybody on the internet or Usher and act like you want to be
in a relationship.
Yeah, like that's not disrespect. That's what most men want a woman to do. That's why women like that, you gotta leave them alone, man. Let them fall on their head on their own. Say what you think,
man. Something about being obedient, like that's our idea of a man that's obedient to his woman, basically like a dog or something, because he's not going to ruffle any feathers, he's not going to go against the grain, he's going to just go along to get along. And most women don't want that guy. They want a guy that they can respect. And majority of women don't respect that guy. That's probably 9 times out of 10. That's the guy that they settled for because they couldn't get the guy that they really wanted. I mean, we see this a lot.
And just think about it, right? So, a father, your main job is to provide and protect. I can't imagine if my daughter was mimicking me to the world, and she described me that weak. Like a woman told me, "Yes, ma'am, okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying?" Like, right? The idea that your perception of him is that weak, like. To me, she made her dad look like a weak bitch ass dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. That's not respect.
I get it, right? Because sometimes you do be like, all right, okay, but that shouldn't be your thing, like, because as a man, like I'll say, like with my parents, right? I've never once seen my father disrespect my mom. I've never seen my mom disrespect my dad. He's not going to just say, okay, go ahead. No, he's going to think about this and be like, wait a minute. Why do we need to do that? Why do we need to do that? Nah, we don't need to do this or that. It's respectful. You can be respectful
and disagree
without agreeing with everything that somebody says. But the way she made it sound was like, hey, he was respectful because he pretty much let her do what she wanted to do. Okay, Sharon. All right, Sharon.
But
even though he don't want to do it.
But guys act like that with women that are belligerent and over the top. You know what I'm saying? Like to try to prevent them from making a scene in a restaurant or embarrassing them in front of the family. And it becomes like it's a manipulation tool. You know what I'm saying? Like, because she don't care about your image or how you look. Like, obviously, like just look at how. When she was describing her dad like that, the mental image that we came up with of her father, I'd be humiliated.
We just thought of him as a basic beta male.
Yeah, like does that sound like a man that protects his family or another man is gonna respect? Probably not.
I mean, listen, it's easy to be like, if you want to be liked by somebody, especially by a woman, just say yes to everything. She won't respect you, but she'll like you.
And in her defense, there's really no context. So it could be some type of situation where that was warranted. So just in her defense, it could have been warranted. But to just throw that out there is what we are talking about, right? Just to have that mental image of your dad just giving your mom whatever and equating that to respect. You know what I'm saying? Like there's other healthy ways for a man to show his woman respect and not be misogynist, because she mentioned misogynist the very first word that she said. Like, you don't have to despise women or hate women if you don't agree with them. That's not what that means. But in today's society, in social media, that's what it means to a lot of women. If you don't give me what I want, if you try to correct me, if you try to tell me that I'm wrong or whatever the case, you hate women and you're a misogynist. And that's just not the case.
Facts.
We live in a gaslight era.
Yeah. You know, and what you just said is completely false. And it actually ties into the next video that we're going to be talking about on our trending topic. I came across this video of, it looks like two fraternity brothers where one is keeping the other brother accountable for his behavior. Let's take a listen.
No, why you want to run back? Yes, I'm yelling at you because you are my brother and I'm seeing you do some lame shit in front of some bitches. Bro. That's why I'm yelling at you. Bro. And if you don't understand that, Lee J, if you don't understand where your brothers is coming from about you doing, it was 3 stories about you doing some shit in front of bitches. That was lying. You didn't hear because you were drunk. The big nigga had a story about you. I got a story about you downstairs with them bitches. Deshaun got a story about you. Pretty sure Desmond has seen you wild out on some bitches. It's time for us to really control our opinion.
No, real shit though. No, because he literally came about and said 2023 is going to be different.
It's really, it's telling you, look, DJ, you my brother. You're not, and you my brother. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you, bro. Bro, please stop it.
That's the type of shit you have to do if you are really a friend with a guy.
Yep.
And if you are a solid dude, yeah, in the moment you might be embarrassed. Your feelings may be hurt, especially if it go viral. But the whole conversation, the whole intervention or whatever you want to call it, is out of love. I'm trying to correct you from doing some lame shit, partially because you represent us too. You know what I'm saying? If you're a member of our organization. I wish more guys were receptive to direct criticism and, you know, intervention like this. But it's something that you definitely got to have to keep everything running smooth among groups of people.
Yeah, because you know when you allow suckers or people that ain't solid within your circle, your whole circle gets a stigma about them. That hey man, these lame dudes that be in the club standing up with all their money in their hand trying to show out for the ladies and lying about whatever it is. Like as men, we have to check that type of stuff, and not just that. Whether it's you're a dad and you ain't handling your business with your kids, whether you ain't handling business with your bills or your job, whatever the case, we as men need to be that way with each other and have those tough love conversations and not coddle men. And I think men do a little bit better job than this because, you know, a lot of us, not even gonna say a lot of us, but as men, we tend to take that type of stuff a little bit,
you ain't got no
better,
choice,
I think. Yeah, like
you ain't got
because
no
what
choice.
else you gonna do?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we need to just be that way with each other, man. Because once you get out here in the world, ain't nobody coddling you. You need to know when you're wrong and make adjustments to it, or else I can't be cool with you if you don't take care of your kids. I can't be cool with you if you ain't guiding your kids and spending quality time with you. I can't be cool with you because that means I support your nonsense, man. And now you got a kid out here with no guidance, no direction, no leadership. Who knows? That kid could stick me up one day not knowing who I am because you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. So yes, those are things that we need to, as fathers, me and you, Terry, talk more to the men about this. I've made videos about it. I'm not sure if you have, but it's something that needs to be discussed a little bit more on the social media front, with holding men accountable for different things that they do to make not only themselves look bad, but their friends also.
I definitely agree, man. Wow, this was definitely like he came on you know, pulled this code on some player stuff like, hey, listen, you messing up. This ain't what you, and as men, that's what we're supposed to do, especially like I said, because I'm a big proponent of, you know, you are the company you keep. So, you know, if you hanging out with lanes, eventually you're gonna become a lane. You know, they say you got 9 broke friends, you bound to become the 10th. So it's the same concept here, where it's like, yo, I'm hearing these stories, just cut it out. And as men, that's what we need to do.
That when it comes to fraternities and sororities, it's slightly different because you don't get to control who all the members are, and you don't get to, you know what I'm saying? Like you could meet somebody from a whole different city, state, whatever. And so, but in situations like this, man, it always comes up over hoes. You know what I'm saying? Dudes trying to impress chicks, dudes talking shit about another dude. I'm talking down. Why you hanging out with him? I heard. Why you fucking with T? Don't he got a girl? You know what I'm saying? Like they do a little sucker shit to try to make themselves appeal to women, and that's viewed as lame from a male perspective. And so those I don't know exactly what they were talking about in the video. I put money on that type of vibe, where you in 3 different scenarios with 3 different group of dudes got a story where you done did some lame shit in front of some chicks. You trying to get some pussy at the expense of somebody else. That's usually what that boils down.
That's the lamest thing you could do, is try to backdoor or talk bad on another man in order to get some little brownie points. Oh, why you messing with him? Oh, you heard he did this, something, you know, something that's not flattering about him. Like bro, don't do that, man.
It's a rule of thumb, fellas. Don't bring up other guys when you talking to a chick. You know what I'm saying?
I was just gonna say that.
And if somebody else do come up, you don't really have to give your opinion on the dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, just keep it player. Like I know one of the things I would always say, is if so like a chick, because when you're in college, they'll ask you about your other friends and frat brothers and stuff. So they'll be like, "Oh, what about such and such?" I'll be like, "Now I don't know if you done smashed him before, if you know." So I don't really know what your relationship with homeboy is. So I would try to be like, "Oh yeah, no, we cool, but not like that."
Not like
You know what I'm saying?
that.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
like we
Yeah.
cool, we ain't on no beef, but not like that. Like we ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like he ain't about to impact nothing between us on my end. You know what I mean? Like so,
Yeah.
but
You say not like that because you like, I still hit. Now we ain't cool like that to where I'm
Yeah.
not gonna smash, sweetheart. Like
Yep.
we alright. Like I know his name is Big Brother Stumpy House. But other than that, I don't know his
Yep.
mama. I don't know his birthday. I ain't never been to his crib. So pull them titties out because you know what I'm saying? We not tight like that. That's what that means.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We cool. I'll just be
But
like,
even with my best partners, like to me personally, sharing chicks and having orgies and stuff like that builds camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? Like that gives me and my partners, like to this day, I can bring up stories and scenarios, and it takes you right back to the mindset of what y'all was at and what y'all were doing, et cetera, et cetera. So unless it's your girlfriend or something, or your baby mama or something, just about everybody's fair game in that type of environment.
Listen, I ain't never built camaraderie with no other dudes with their scrotums out. I don't care nothing. Forget you and your camaraderie, man. Like, hey, man, put your dick up, man. What you doing? Like, I ain't never built camaraderie with men with their dicks out. Like, hey, bro, good job. No, forget you and your camaraderie, man.
Well, hey, running a train on a bad chick, your best friend hitting it from the back while you getting sucked up. Those are the type of, like I said, that memories that y'all both share. And I mean all kind of details from what y'all were doing before, what happened after. Yeah,
SD man, I can tell you haven't been on too many college campuses, bro.
I never went to college. I mean, we had some wild days, but you know what I'm saying? We were in like apartment buildings where it was other rooms and different things was going on and stuff like that. Like or the lights was all out. So I mean, it was like, you know, we didn't build no camaraderie in there. But
it was no home ball these college campuses. Bro.
Sometimes the experiences like they ain't that good. Like this one situation I remember. Like these was the days when we was broke, where you got to share hotel rooms and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of my partners managed to get a chick in a room, and they about to smash. But they on like it's a double bed room, but they on the floor, like in between the beds. He's trying to smash on the floor. Bro, the chick pulled down the chick's panties. Everybody in the room was like said "damn" at the same time.
That bad?
Oh man, that's not a good damn either.
I've smelled something like that.
That was that was my first time experiencing like that, but it was so crazy because it was like you just said, it was dark in the room. It's like 2-3 in the morning. As soon as she pulled down the panty, it was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like all at the same time.
I had some tear jerkers, man. Some that brought tears to your eyes like onions, though. And I'm like, what in the world is that? Got to be a dead gerbil in here somewhere.
There's a gerbil.
All right, man. Look like we are up against the clock. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be getting into our topic of the night, no time to waste, where we're going to be talking about the dating strategies for young women and ways that they can reach their relationship goals. Y'all are tuned into the Hold a Husband podcast. We'll be back in a minute.
Hi, I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read, or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the How to Husband podcast. Tonight we have our special guest on. We have Kennedy Edwards in the building. What's going on, Kennedy? How you doing?
Hey, you guys. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you taking the time to come on. Before we get into the conversation, can you let the viewers know a little bit about you, what you do, and your background, so they know where you're coming from?
Yeah, for sure. I'm located out in Atlanta. I'm the host of Edified Minds podcast, where I talk to women in our 20s about living their best lives, walking in faith, and just trying to debunk these social media myths and Black culture debacles that we see every day. You guys touch a lot on the topics that I talk about. So thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited just to get into some things tonight. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Excited to have you on.
Yeah, we saw you went viral recently, so we definitely appreciate you coming on. We wanted to pick your brain, especially with you being a young woman in this space. Usually the women are usually divorced or, at a later phase in life.
Aged. Say aged.
Yeah, good catch, SD. But I wanted to ask you, so what made you jump out into the relationship advice space?
Well, it wasn't even supposed to start off that way. So like I was on another podcast with 3 men, just like you guys. And I feel like they kept trying to make me talk negatively about guys. I don't know. It's like
Really?
they kept asking me questions about, well, why aren't niggas this? And, what you think about niggas doing that? And I'm just like, I don't think anything negatively about niggas. If a relationship hasn't worked for me, I take accountability. I did something as well. So I think it started off just being regular conversation to my point of view being so rare to these guys. Like you said, you're young. Why do you think this way? And it's like, why not? I don't understand kind of what the young girls, why they're moving a certain way versus the older women. I'm not understanding, but I didn't mean to start off talking about relationships. Really, I'm just talking about being accountable and living your best life for young women.
Now, when you say living your best life, when I hear that, I think hoeing. That's what I think. I hear a woman say, I'm living my best life.
That sounds like shot o'clock.
To men, that sounds like hoeing. So what do you mean when you say living your best life? That's what I want.
Question.
Shout out Duval.
You're so raw, SD. I swear, I love your content too. But you're so crazy. But no, I know what you're thinking when it's like best life is hoeing. But my whole phase was horrible. I was damn near depressed, suicidal when I had a whole phase in college. So when I say best life, I mean holding yourself accountable. Let's stop blaming other people for where we are in the relationships, and let's have more discernment. Let's think before we do. I know it's like, oh, let me sleep with him, let me just fuck on that, but what does it get you? I feel like for me, it got me nowhere. So when I say live your best life, it's a little different than what you're thinking.
Okay, cool. Hold on, real quick. Go ahead. You just said something that a lot of women do not admit to, and that's having a whole phase. Can you dive into that a little more? How did this whole phase go? What was you doing? Why did you feel bad and empty and depressed after? Please share.
That's a great question, man.
Yeah. I think my whole phase just started naturally in college. Y'all know how it goes. Did you guys go to college?
I did. I did.
I did as well. What college did you go to?
I was giving them some stories about how the nukes got down.
Oh yeah, I used to love you some nukes back then. I make them stroll in it. You know what I'm saying? But I went to Kennesaw State, so you know how the culture is, though. You guys know how it is. It's partying. It's a little bit of studying, but it's drinking. It's having a good time. It's finally freedom from your parents. They don't know what you're doing. So I found myself hanging around some girls who they just seemed like they were so liberated having sex with everybody. They sold it to me like, bitch, you gonna be having fun doing this. So I just gave in. I was young. I was easily impressed, whatever. And I was really insecure. I came to college and I saw bad bitches in all shapes, sizes, colors. I was just shocked. And I didn't feel like I had anything to offer but my body, if I'm being quite honest. So just had sex, with a lot of guys. Too many. And after college, none of those guys hit me up. None of those guys cared. They said we were friends the whole time, friends with benefits. They just completely showed me that, your pussy's good for the moment, but I don't care about you. I don't give a fuck about you. So that's what got me in depression. My pride was tied to how many guys I could pull. That made me feel good about myself. But when it completely cut off, because I graduated right before COVID, and y'all know how that was, I just realized, oh God, I gave my body to so many men for what? They don't care about me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why my whole phase, I had fun doing it. But afterwards, I thought about it and I said, it wasn't constructive. We can do whatever we want to do, but not everything is constructive. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate you being candid and honest about it.
Yeah.
Whenever we try to have this discussion on social media, or at least on my end, I instantly have women talking in the comments, talking about how if men can do it, women can do it too. And it's like, well, men and women have drastically different perspectives on sex. And I think sex impacts men and women differently as well. So it's not this thing where women, they constantly try to make it seem like, well, if he's a hoe, then I'm gonna be, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, men and women are not the same, and we don't choose our partners the same on the same criteria, and we don't view promiscuous partners the same either. So that's always it's like a real triggering conversation to try to have on social media.
And like per the studies, women experience more sexual regret than men when they having casual sex. How many of them guys that you mess with out there, how many of them do you think all the women they ran through was sitting at home after regretting it, and depressed because they did it? Probably slim to none, because men typically don't have that emotional type of tie type of thing where we feel the same as women feel. So like Terry said, when women say that they can do what men do, them women have something going on inside of them that's off. You know what I'm saying? And that's why men typically, once a man finds out or he knows that a woman is a hoe or has been a hoe, men typically shy away from serious relationships with those women a lot of times because they had to lose a part of them in order to do it, to sleep with all of these here men. And so at that particular point, women hate the consequences of what they have done. And men, it's the opposite, because men, those are the men that typically get the women, because women like those men because those men have the characteristics that women love. So women hate that, but you make your bed, you got to lay in it. So I kudos to you for even saying this on the podcast, because I haven't heard very many women say this, that
Well, I want to add something in, SD. If I can, it's funny that you point that out, because during that time in college, my parents were going through a divorce, and my dad and my relationship, I grew up being a daddy's girl. He got me whatever I wanted. My dad loved me. My first Mercedes. I mean, we're still cool to this day. I love my father. But my parents were going through a divorce, so I felt like I was losing him. And that's also why I started having a whole phase too. I would talk to my dad every day, didn't hear from him. And so I like how you pointed that out. Something was happening to me at that time. It was. And I didn't view it that way. You know what I mean? But now I look back and I go, damn, if my dad was around, if I was talking to my dad every day, I wouldn't be hanging out with this nigga every night, because my dad would have been like, what you doing out there? You know what I mean? So another thing also I want to add to is, like, women just sell it differently. I agree. We're not like men. We're not built like you guys, but they're selling it like it's liberating. They're selling it like you're going to feel better. And that's not true for everybody. I don't want every woman to think they have to have a whole phase. It's really not necessary if you don't want to have it.
I just want to ask you real quick. So do you think like your whole phase was kind of like a rebellious stage for you? Just being that you didn't talk to your father?
Probably subconsciously. I mean, like I said, back then, you don't think about it that way. I'm 18, 19. I'm just having a good time. Fuck my dad. I'm not hearing from him. He's dating other women. He cheated on my mom. They're having a divorce. It's fuck him at that moment, But now I look back on it. I know things would be different if my relationship was good with him still. I know it would have been.
So let me ask you this, and I know we kind of shifted a little bit onto your whole phase, right? But do you think that you having that whole phase and sleeping with all those men impacts you now and in trying to date? And is it something that you let men know that you want to date, or are you afraid of the consequences of it, or how they'll respond to that? Do you say things like that, or is something that you don't really mention? And I mean, you out here on a podcast.
Yeah. If it comes up in conversation about how college went, I am open about that. I talk about it on my podcast as well. But I'm dating intentionally now. I just started last year, so I'm new to it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm dating with more purpose. And so like when I see content, and even Terry, you posted something about like the reality of not having sex with a guy though, and how that could also shrink my pool. It's one of those things where I just have to go off my discernment. You know what I mean? I've got to just kind of get a good feel. I've got to get to know you. I'm not going to be quick to have sex with you, because back then I didn't have to know you. You didn't have to take me on a date or anything like that. It was just, we link up, we smash.
And that's the difference. That's the difference. Like, men typically don't care, you know, how long you have sex, long as it's within reason, as long as you establish a connection with the dude first. And that can be hanging out, having a heart-to-heart conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be over the phone. It could be just sitting in a car, smoking a blunt. There are lots of different ways you can establish it. But that's the difference between a woman, like you just mentioned, smashing a stranger, and a chick getting to know a dude and y'all both got horny and had sex. Like, guys view that totally different. And that's why we all know people where they like, man, we had sex on the first date, but they married 12 years later. Like, just because you had sex the first opportunity does not mean that that was the first time they started establishing a connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So at what age do you think women start to feel pressure to have a man or be in a relationship? Can you speak to that a little bit?
I'm starting to feel the pressure now in my late 20s. Older women, believe it or not, have told me my 20s are just for me. Be selfish, don't care about no man. But I'm feeling the pressure because I got friends who are getting married and having children. I personally want to get married before children. I don't want to have kids. I want to have a family. There's a difference to me. But there's older women who are kind of steering the young girls the wrong way, in my opinion, in some of their advice, depending on who the woman is. And I'm starting to feel the pressure now. I just turned 27 in October, so it's kind of like you got to take it a little more seriously.
Have you felt pressure from like family? Like, I know you say old women, but no family, like mother, father, or aunties.
Believe it or not, no. My family is just very, very chill, cool. My Grammy and my mom both divorced. My Grammy just told me, look, just get a man who loves you, respects you, and works hard. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So my mom, like I said, her and my dad, they divorced a few years ago. She's like, fuck these niggas. But I'm not listening to her because I understand she's hurt right now. You know?
Yeah, she hurt. Yeah, you gotta let her get back to herself.
But you got the right attitude there. I'll give you that. I'll say that there.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of women they overcomplicate things. And from my platform, my underlying goal was to try to provide an authentic perspective on how quality men saw things. Not necessarily, I ain't rich, I ain't famous, I ain't a celebrity. I can't tell you how Usher dated, but I can tell you how a solid husband material dude with a career is going to operate and make his dating decisions, etc. And so I appreciate, especially a woman your age, you being in your prime. This is the perfect time for you to be trying to look to get serious. Because that advice, wait until you in your 30s, getting pregnant's more difficult, and your dating pool shrinks significantly. It starts shrinking at a very rapid rate. So you're on
the right track.
But see, society.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Why does it shrink? When Kevin Samuels was big and out, I purposely avoided his content because I didn't want to get my feelings hurt. I should have listened though, But why do you see it shrink? What changes?
Well, it's a couple of things. So I'll try to be quick. But for one, guys, as they get older, typically their income increases, thus their value on the dating market increases. So as he's getting to 30, 32, 36, 38, he's closer to six figures or past it. And men naturally like younger women. So as he's getting more money, the women that he would date on his level when he was making 60K, now that he's making 120K, he wants the 26-year-old with the BBL or the, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they're as men's value goes up on the dating market, they can become more picky, and that typically comes with younger and more attractive women.
Yes, and it's a value system, right? For men, what do men really value and look for? Men are visual, so we value youth, beauty, and fitness. Those things there are most prevalent when a woman is younger. She's in her best shape, she looks her best, and a woman that's younger typically should have less dating experience and trauma from men. So men typically go after the younger women, and the women typically go after the older men. So when you wait later and you 30, 34, 35, you don't reach the point where your kid has a greater chance of having something wrong with them after 35. And then you want to date, of course, men probably a little older or in your age bracket, maybe closer to 40 or whatever the case. And those men typically at that age don't be trying to have kids. On top of everything else that they can attract younger women that's better looking, that's more fertile or whatever the case at their age of 39, 40, making $100,000, $200,000. So it becomes a lot tougher for y'all the older that you get. That's why it's best for women to take their prime years between in their 20s and early 30s to try and get them a man, because like you said, once you get older, it becomes way tougher.
Absolutely, and I'll just piggyback real quick. I think, for men, all the men that want younger women, there's less baggage there. Like, let's just take you, for example, at 33, 34, 35, still carrying that emotional baggage from college. Like, I think you're an anomaly in this situation because you have a level of self-awareness that, unfortunately, a lot of women don't. So I definitely commend you for that. I think the first step to getting better and growing is having that level of self-awareness that you have.
I definitely agree, Jay. I wanted to ask you, Kennedy, you definitely appear, you got the wisdom of an older woman. You seem like a much older spirit with the way that you, like he just said, you have the self-awareness, you taking accountability and doing a lot of things that even women that are older than you struggle with. I wanted to ask you, so I know you said you're in Atlanta. That's one of the most difficult places I think for women to date. But I wanted to ask, how do guys respond to your insight and knowledge of dating and relationships?
Well, let me first make a comment about the Atlanta thing, because I hate that. It's not the city. If I'm a broken woman, if I got issues, I can go to Florida right now and I can't find a man. I can go to New York and can't find a man. It's not the city. It's the people.
That's a fact. That's gonna follow where we go. Good.
I just feel like it's a social media trend. It's a social media trend to say it's a city. You stop saying it's a city. It could be you.
I would say, I don't live in Atlanta, but from a dating perspective and an optics perspective, the culture of Atlanta makes it more difficult for women. The reality show culture, the homosexual men, the percentage of men that women actually want, and then Atlanta has a disproportionate amount of income, compared to other places. So the expectations that I think the women in Atlanta have of what a man should be able to buy and do for them is not really realistic for other parts of the country. So, but
just keep in mind though, I'm born and raised here. You know what I mean? And you're talking to me and you're saying, you think different. I'm born and raised, and not in the city of Atlanta, but I'm born and raised in Georgia, Metro Atlanta. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. But to answer your question though, how do guys perceive it? It just depends on the guy. I am single right now, recently single. Found out an ex was cheating, but I'm still moving forward. And it's just one of those things.
How'd you catch? Oh, never mind. Let me not even. I was gonna say, how'd you catch him? You went to his phone, or he just?
No. His ex emailed me and was like, "Hey, he's emailing me. He actually had like bipolar disorder and things like that. So he's a mental illness. So we'll let him slide. We'll pray for him, But still,
absolutely,
But still, it's like one of those things where it's fucked up, but you just gotta keep going. And one thing I'll say is discernment is key. I mean, one thing I realized, especially when you point out the women in Atlanta, everybody's blaming the nigga. He did this, he did that. I played a part in that. I knew he was a cheater in the past, and I thought he was gonna change. I feel like that's why guys are better daters. If I'm not mistaken, I feel like you guys pay attention to patterns, and so
of course.
That's why I'm like, I feel like a lot of women want to copy off men when it comes to sex. Like, oh, we want to be hoes. I want to copy off men with you guys' mindset. I want to copy off men in dating with the stuff that's making you guys win in dating. You understand what I'm saying?
You can.
Yeah.
It's built in your DNA. But I want to commend you though for saying that you'll pray for somebody that cheated on you, because I couldn't do it. I don't think anybody bust if somebody cheat on me. Forget that. I ain't praying for you.
Listen, women by and large are more forgiving than men are when it comes to cheating. As long as they don't embarrass you in public.
Yeah. I mean, cheating is tough for anybody to get past. Well, it's not necessarily the cheating itself; it's the lies, the deception. You know what I'm saying? Right. Especially if you was being faithful. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that gets it in your head. You're like, man, I was being faithful to this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you get yourself upset over and over again over it.
Yeah. But just to piggyback off SD, I just want to piggyback off something that you said. Though you said it's in my DNA. I just want to point out, and I don't know if you understood what I was saying. You know how women are trying to copy off men when it comes to sleeping with everybody? That's not in our DNA either. If I want to copy off a man, it's going to be for the things that's actually, in my opinion, smarter, which is the way you guys are discerning of your partners, the way you guys should. I feel you guys are more logical. I know that's not in my DNA either, but both those things aren't in a woman's DNA. But I'd rather that positive attribute than just hoe. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, but a lot of times with the women, and when I say it's not in y'all DNA, I mean because you all's emotions take over so much for y'all. Not all of y'all, but for women, the emotions take over, and the logic and common sense go right out the window a lot of times. And women will see things right in their face and want it to be something else. Like, maybe he just spending the night with his baby mama for kids. Like, no. And a dude be like, you out of your mind? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by like in your DNA. I know exactly what you mean. And why you're saying it. You want to be able to take that part from me and learn those types of patterns and be able to make a logical decision to say, I recognize that. I know it's nonsense. I'm not moving in that direction. They're done. That's what you're talking about. You want to be able to do. But because of those feelings, it's so hard for y'all to do that. So I get it and I understand it. So I know what you mean.
I think I was gonna say, just to piggyback on what you were saying, I was gonna say, I think it's more difficult for women to kind of operate in that way because men are just more willing to take the negatives that come with dating. Men have to deal with rejection on a much higher scale than women, and so most women are not about to put themselves out there to enough men to actually implement the way that guys approach dating. For the most part, for the guys that are not rich and famous and all that, the guys that actually got a peak game and pay attention to women and study behavior and body language and all those type of things in order to have sex, right, with the attractive women. Those type of guys have been doing it for so long that they're like black belts at doing it, and it's something that attractive women, I don't even think a lot of them are conscious of what they have to do to actually encourage a guy to shoot their shot or whatnot.
So a quick question for you. So what do you think women's biggest issues are that's keeping them from reaching the relationship goals that they say that they want out here when they on social media?
Good question.
I think a lot of women just don't really know how to love themselves. And it can get tricky even with seeing platforms like Husbands, because we're being told on a constant basis that we're not doing things right. I think when we don't have enough solutions and it's just pinpointing problem, it's hard to learn what the best methods are. So I think a lot of women just struggle with loving themselves, don't know how to. They're not really getting the resources, in my opinion, that are going to help them. It's just more so you doing this, you're doing that. And so what do I do with that? You know what I mean?
So do you think the women are open to this type of thing? Because this is what I'm saying. If somebody comes to me with the issue and says, hey man, you need to, like, it's hurting you to do this or because you're doing that. And if I self-assess myself and say, okay, they said it's hurt me, the reality is showing me that it's hurt me, I'm grown, let me try to make the moves in order to go in this opposite direction, right? But do you think that the women nowadays are open to that type of constructive criticism? Because I don't personally. Because anytime
I'll put you SD on that one.
Go ahead. You were going to answer?
I don't.
Okay. So therefore, in my mind, as a grown adult, the solution has to come from you. You know what you need to do. If we say, hey, you're problematic, you're being too combative, you're not being cooperative, you're too masculine, you're doing this, you're doing that, you talking about you don't need a man, you won't be submissive to a man. The opposite of being combative is being nice and being pleasant and being cooperative with a man. You don't need a whole cookbook of solutions on how to be more pleasant to somebody. You know how to do it. You know how to have a better attitude. You know,
a lot of women don't have to do that because they attractive.
I know, but you know how not to be a hoe out here. You know that most men don't want to be bothered with you. You know how to do that.
I agree.
You don't need a cookbook for that.
I do agree, SD, but there's so many different examples that a lot of women aren't given. For example, if you're telling me to be submissive to somebody, but he's cheating on me, he's beating me. Now it's like, okay, I can't be combative to that. I can't cuss that out. I can't,
absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying. I think some women, not women who want to improve, but those who are, like you said, they're just like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just common sense, right? They may need to be kind of baby steps. And I agree. Women my age, and especially the younger ones, I got a little side gig and I listen to them talk all day. It disgusts me. They think different. And they don't want to work on themselves. But you know how you guys point out how women don't like the good guys? I think it's kind of the same way in this. I think we're talking about a lot of hoes right now and IG thoughts and BBLers. I think that's what we're talking about. Good women that I know, my friends, my squad, we do want to work on ourselves. We are submissive and we get overlooked. And so in this conversation, it's kind of like I'm talking about a woman I can't relate to.
I agree with you. Kenny, I want to say this, and I think you bring up a good point there. And I think you and maybe your circle of friends, like I said earlier, are more of anomalies here, because I think a lot of times with a lot of these women that SD was describing, I think, let's just say for example, they go to counseling. They want that counselor to reinforce what their disposition already was, as opposed to trying to get better, or have that level of self-awareness. I think, unfortunately, a lot of these women just don't have that level of self-awareness or the wherewithal to know what they did wrong, like you do, or your friends.
So let me ask you this. Did your friends also have a whole phase also?
Actually, I'm gonna be real with you. Most of them didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually the anomaly in that regard. I was the wild child, so most of them did not. Most of them are either in relationships or waiting until marriage, not having sex. I mean, you're right. My squad is like, what's going on with y'all? But I feel like sometimes we get overlooked because everybody wants to pay attention to the problematic women. My thing is this, and that's why I have my podcast. I want to focus on the solution. Your question, SD, very good. It's like, man, why aren't these women doing the work? Well, tell me, as men, how would you want to see women do the work? Well, what do you think is the solution to this problem for women? What should those women do?
I think most women should go to counseling because most women, when they go through relationships, because of how you all date emotionally, you have these emotional highs and boom, you right on the bottom. You have these emotional highs and boom, you right on the bottom. Also, you've given your body off to a man. So now when you get to be 30 or whatever the case, now you got 15, 20, 30 other men that's going around inside of your body, inside of your mind, and all these different things. Some of them dudes done cheated on you, broke your heart. A lot of women need counseling, not to even include personal issues that happen within the home, maybe a divorce, maybe some type of abuse, or whatever the case. Most women, by the time they are ready to seriously date, a lot of them need counseling today. So that's one of the main things that women can do is go and get into some counseling. And nowadays, even a femininity coach, because so many women are adapting this masculinity of I don't need a man, but still out here wanting to get married and want a man. Like, it's certain things that women can do as far as that goes, because all we can do is tell you the problem that we see. I see these here issues, and it's up to you.
All right, y'all. Looks like we done ran over. Look like we are up against the clock. But before we get up out of here, Kennedy, can you let the audience know how they can access your content or get a hold of you?
Yeah, make sure that you subscribe to Edified Minds Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Also follow me on YouTube, Edified Minds Podcast.
Before we get up out of here, man, I want to give another shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us linked through our background music. I want to remind everybody to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. J.S. Steven, I appreciate y'all linking up with me so we can get this episode knocked out. And Kennedy, we definitely enjoyed the conversation, and we appreciate you taking the time to come chop it up with us.
We need a part 2.
We can definitely make it happen. Definitely make it happen. This has been another episode of the Ho to Husband Podcast, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.